Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. Welcome back to Soul Coffee Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. J. It's lovely to have you here, y'all, as my heart's just been broken wide open, and I'm on a quest to go back to Peru, which is the first time. And if y'all don't know, I'm Peruvian and Black, and my mom was an immigrant from Peru. So this is for an episode for my first generation folk. Is a episode for my people that just want to get charged up, as I just want to drop some nuggets for you. And what my biggest lesson learned has been in this process of returning back to my mother's homeland and to honor my grandmother, and at the same time as well too. And what was my biggest lesson learned going on 4 chiropractic mission trips when I was a student. And I'll start there, as on my left wrist I have a tattoo that says amor. And for y'all who may not know, your left side is considered your feminine side, your receiving side, and your right side is considered your masculine side and the doing. Oftentimes, people may have just one side that, oh, my left side's just this, or, oh my God, it's all my right side. And it's a good opportunity for you to evaluate, are you in alignment with the energies within you in a feminine and masculine way? Are you receiving? Do you have trouble or relationship issues with, I'll say, the feminine in your life? Could be mom, grandparents, auntie, relationships, whatever, and same thing on the right side. But I had a lot of issues receiving, as I taught myself I was only worthy and I was only valuable based upon the efforts that I put out into the world. That was a big lesson for me, as my Achilles were messed up when I was a senior in undergrad and messed up my senior year, and that's a whole story as well too. And a lot of that, I think, was derived from, like, if I use my legs, then I am worthy. If I use my legs, then I am valuable. If I use my legs, people will actually see me and I can be seen. And, in a previous episode, I shared how I got out of that hole of depth of sorrow, of suffering, and so much anger, and such a big hole I was in. And my legs were a big part of that. The first lesson I learned when I was in 6th quarter with Dr. Suki Mooker, shout out to that man, was that every time you approach the table with love, someone got better. Every single time. And I'm not discounting the 5,000 plus hours that we go through as chiropractic students to understand the physiology, the anatomy, the viscera, just the everything that goes into it. But one thing that I've learned through KTC early on is getting into a space of curiosity, getting to a space of wonder, getting into a space of what's going right with this person and where do they need to be reconnected. And when you got into the state of love, it softens your heart. You get out of being stuck in your head and you get into your hands, you get into your heart, and your heart's what links things all together, being in that space of service. One of the greatest lessons that I learned through Delta Sigma Chi is that the fraternity taught me service. Being able to be of service to one another. And service for me is being able to build a space, being able to build a bridge, being able to build a ladder, being able to build some kind of resource and reach. Dr. Mosley, he said this one time. He's like, it's like you've climbed this brick wall, and now serving others is turning around and reaching down to grab their hand to make things easier for people. In chiropractic care, it's being able to apply the lessons that I've learned naturally and living this natural lifestyle, along with my D1 experience, along with being an athlete, along with understanding being a certified exercise physiologist in the past and the anatomy. A lot of people don't understand health. So my service to them and my service to the world, a vehicle for that is chiropractic care, is this podcast, is the resources that I put out providing for the provider, and being able to maximize how many windows that y'all can lean into. And that's where it comes with the resources and things. And when it comes back to service, it's very, very important to be able to understand how love, how amor has been such a big aspect to that. And in that service, what connects me through that is that I know I'm doing God's work, is that I know that I can lean on and I can have faith in something that's, of course, massively bigger than me, to be able to whenever I pray. My brother Bridge, Dr. Zak, said this. He's like, praying is like a mastermind with God. And I thought that was absolutely beautiful, as it connects you to something bigger, whether you're going through a compressive time, whether you're trying to find yourself, as a lot of, I think, chiropractic school, grad school, probably, whether you're a medical doctor, a nurse, or you go through a process. I'll say you go through a process. it requires you to do some work. And I think the mid-20s is prime time that for a lot of people, it was for me, as especially if you're in an environment that's not familiar, you literally have to figure things out. That's why I like to think life is a video game, because you're always right where you need to be. And it's just a matter of being able to find the treasure chests, find, what's in there, and service. It always comes back for me, whether it was creating artistry nights at the Delt House and at my home and Life University, whether it's facilitating KTC, whether it's, speaking, whether it's being out here in the city. It's not what you get, but what you give. And one of the most powerful, juicy fruits that I see from that is I'll say the plus, or what's beyond, like even conceived in your mind, whether it's a goal, whether you see something happening. It's not that you're doing it for that outcome, but it's releasing and relinquishing how the universe or how God's going to give back to you. And it's beyond what you could ever expect. And on that first mission trip, I was in a meditation afterwards, after getting cleared chiropractically, because we'd get adjusted after we just adjusted anywhere from 10 to like 30, 40 people in a day as a student, still getting warmed up. And I remember just feeling like this presence and this touch and they're wrapped in this duvet, this blanket of love. And I felt what I perceived to be the presence of my ancestors, and they gifted me these beautiful wings for me to like protect myself, and these beautiful fluffy like angel wings. And this is actually something I utilize to protect myself or expand my energy when I'm talking in an audience, to protect the audience or protect my people. And my ancestors, what they did is that they touched them, and then these wings had this beautiful gold trim around them, and it just wrapped me up in this like regal sense, this safety sense. And I just remember crying and just feeling so held. And a lot of other chiropractors, they say, get lost in service. Or I think, to tie things to the provider, is we are so good at just being able to extend ourselves to another, to be able to reach out to another, or quote unquote fix another's problems or try to help another. But we don't give ourselves permission to be able to treat ourselves as our first practice member, treat ourselves as our first patient, and treat ourselves with that same compassion. And someone mentioned in a conversation recently, it's like, oh, I'm so quick to, help another, or treat or give someone that grace, or give someone that permission, give someone else that space, that understanding, that empathy. Oh, that empathy, y'all. And my invitation for y'all is, in service to others, like, you got to serve yourself in some way, shape, or form, for increased awareness of self, to be curious of where might you be in a leaking state? Where are you not in recognition of your wholeness, of your integrity, of your completion of things? Because when we don't have awareness of these different holes that might be in our bucket that is bleeding life and bleeding energy, bleeding health outside of us, then we're showing in a non-integrous state, an incomplete state. And this over time will then give rise to, now, what are the patterns of overextending self? Because it's not a bad thing to be in service of another. What I'm inviting you now is actually to be in service. However, how are you being in service? What's the status of yourself when you're in service? How's your energy when you're in service? Why are you in service? An invitation to re-examine your purpose, why you're here, why you're doing this good work, why you're showing up as a leader, why you're showing up as a parent, why you're showing up as a healthcare professional in the future, and how can you dial that in and get more conscientious of it, is the invitation, baby. I want you to be more conscientious and heart-led from that service, because as we're able to experience deeper levels and layers too of the glue that keeps it all together. Love. And I think what I'll tie a bow to this conversation is, I've seen so many providers just become jaded. I resonate, or I've been there myself, and I think a lot of providers get jaded, they get burnt out, they get kind of cynical around their practice members, around their peers, around their people, because they've for so long been bleeding out life, health, energy. And now, for doing that for a chronic state, now they are aware more so of, oh man, there's something here where now they're starting to experience a state of stress. Take your pick. What is your state of stress? If you have experienced that, or get curious to, and here's the invitation, and this is where we start to bridge more polyvagal theory, is the 3 components to wellness. And that's context, that's community, and that's choice. Context, community, choice. If your peers or you or your practice members or your patients are lacking context, aka awareness. They're lacking community, aka you don't have someone to connect to, your peers don't have someone to connect to, your practice members or your patients don't have someone to connect to, or they're missing choice, or they have too many choices. This can vamp people out into a stress state, but at the same time, this can be a bridge to bring them back into with a state of love. So this week, my challenge, my offering for you is to write some of these down. Notice this is from polyvagal theory, from Stephen Porges' work. Notice the glimmers. Deb Dana mentions this too. Notice the glimmers. Notice the blessings. Notice the things that make you go, ah. And is that homie? Is it your roommate or is it your friend, waking up in the morning and y'all get to share a meal together? Y'all get to share coffee with each other. Y'all get to smile, give each other a hug. Is it a deeper recognition of yourself and an accomplishment of yourself? Is it something that you notice that you do on the day-to-day that you really love that you do? Like, what are the things that you love doing for yourself? Are you creating them? And if not, maybe it's just being able to appreciate, like, wow, I get to drive to my car today, or I get to go to work today. I get to serve today. I get to be today, as that just expands awareness. And once more, when we can get to a creative state, when we can get to a parasympathetic, juicy, delicious, vagal ventral state, then it allows us to be able to live from a different space, a different tone, a different energy that can give us permission and give us the ability to access resources and access increased, deeper levels of resourcefulness. That is the tool of our mind. So that way we can be able to help bring others into that energy. Because at the end of the day, never forget this, your energy is the medicine. And I think as more people have a reverence for that your energy is the medicine, and that the quality of energy dictates the quality of your life. And your quality of energy will also open you to different levels of questions and awareness that also will deepen the quality of your life. Well, baby, I think it just perpetuates this beautiful phenomenon, how life is an infinite game in different realms, shapes, and forms and capacities, especially when it comes to our quality of health, our state of our relationships, and the relationship to that with our experiences, our habits, our emotions, the information we're experiencing on the day-to-day. All based around service, and all based around people who may not even know what chiropractic is, but they see people getting adjusted, or they experience it in themselves, and they don't even speak the same language. And they're bringing their abuelas, they're bringing their cousins, they're bringing their sisters, they're bringing their moms, their dads, whoever, and they're just inviting them on the table. And part of one of my experiences in Haiti in the DR, they whenever we come for mission trips, they say, oh, there's the doctors with magic hands. There's no cultural resistance when it comes to that. There's no fear. There's no perception or misperception of what chiropractic is. And baby, if you're listening to this, it's not about the crack, Lord. It's not about the gas that's released in the joint. It's about the sabor. It's about the healing. It's about the coming back home. It's about the deep breath. It's about the increased energy. It's about the ability to sleep. It's about the ability to be present, be with your family, be with your loved ones. It's the ability to have more faith in your body, that whatever it is that you're doing, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is that you're going through, that you can do it. It's a deepened faith with that, the reverence for nature and how we're an extension of nature. Like, respect yourself. Respect yourself. You're too beautiful to just be like, nah, it's not about the noise, bro. It's not about the noise. It's about the healing. So thank you for listening to another episode. Please share this with a good friend, right? If it resonates, leave a 5-star review. I appreciate it, as we broken through 100 5-star reviews on both platforms, and that feels good. We got good energy, y'all. We got good energy. January is done. We're in the month of February, and I am so honored. I'm so grateful. We're going to keep this thing cranking. I got majority of the interviews planned for February and March, and it's only going to get better, and I'm very excited about it, y'all. So we're going to keep this thing going, so I'm hella excited. Thank you for tuning in. As always, y'all, take this good energy into the world and maybe be caffeinated at the soul level. I love y'all. Peace.